The sky above Earth burned with the fires of war. The once clear blue expanse was now choked with the heavy black clouds of alien ships, their sleek forms slicing through the smoke like predators stalking prey. Beneath their looming shadow, the ruins of human civilization sprawled across the land, a testament to the brutality of an enemy who had come, not to conquer, but to erase. Amidst the destruction stood a lone figure, his back straight and his face upturned toward the vast, monstrous ships. His breath came slow and steady, even as the distant crackle of weapons fire filled the air. This was no ordinary man, not anymore. His name was Marcus Allard, and he had made a promise to himself, to his people: humanity would never bow to the aliens. "Is this it, then?" Zara's voice broke through the tension, cutting through the acrid smell of burning debris. She stood a few feet behind Marcus, scanning the horizon. She wasn't sure if he was talking to himself or the sky, but she didn't interrupt. In her eyes, Marcus had always been the one who kept hope alive. Marcus glanced over his shoulder, his eyes hard, his face gaunt with the weight of what had already been lost. "They think they can break us," he said, his voice low but fierce. "But they're wrong. This is just the beginning." Zara's lips tightened. She had seen the same devastation as Marcus, perhaps even more. A scientist by training, she had spent years studying the aliens' tactics, learning everything she could about the invaders before they razed her home. But this was no longer about analysis. This was personal. "There's only so much time left," she warned. "We need a plan. We can't afford another failure." Marcus's eyes hardened further. "Then we don't fail." "Not this time." The wind whipped around them, lifting the ashes of broken buildings into the air. In the distance, a massive alien warship descended, its engines pulsing like the heartbeat of a monster. It was a sight they had seen too many times before: the alien invaders' relentless onslaught, a series of assaults that had left entire cities reduced to rubble. People forced into servitude, their wills crushed beneath the heel of an empire that saw them as nothing more than insects to be wiped out. But Marcus refused to accept that fate. Behind him, Yarrick stepped forward, his grizzled face a mask of determination. "We've been through this before," he muttered, his tone gruff, his voice carrying the weight of a soldier long past the point of hope. "But this time, we're not just running into the fire. We're going to make them regret it." Marcus turned to face him. There was no hesitation in his eyes, only an unshakable resolve. "We take the fight to them. No more hiding. We make them pay for every life they've taken." Yarrick nodded once. "I'll gather the others. We'll be ready." As Yarrick turned and disappeared into the shadows of the ruins, Zara stayed by Marcus's side. She wanted to argue, wanted to remind him of the risks, but she knew there was no point. The fire in his eyes wasn't just about survival, it was about something deeper, something much more personal. It was about vengeance. She sighed, the weight of their reality pressing against her chest. "Marcus," she said quietly. "If you go through with this, if we do this, the aliens will retaliate. You know that, right?" Marcus didn't respond immediately, his gaze still locked on the descending ship, its massive form cutting through the smoke like a predator closing in on its prey. "I know," he said finally. "But we've already lost everything. This is our last chance. And we'll make sure it counts." Zara swallowed hard. It wasn't the answer she had hoped for, but it was the only one she had expected. Marcus had always been the kind of person who lived for the fight, who needed to feel the weight of vengeance on his shoulders. He had watched the death of his friends, his family, and the devastation of his planet, and it had all fueled him into this moment. She had seen him before, driven by rage and purpose, and she knew that he would carry that fire until the very end. The sound of distant sirens interrupted the moment, followed by the low rumble of approaching alien enforcers. They were coming. There was no time left to hesitate. Zara set her jaw, her mind already shifting gears into the tactical calculations she had spent years perfecting. The time for debating was over. "We move out in 5 minutes," she said, her voice firm. "Everyone needs to be in position, or we'll be wiped out before we even get close." Marcus nodded, a sharpness in his expression that cut through the fog of uncertainty. We make them remember who we are. The ground beneath their feet trembled as the alien ships prepared to land. The battle was about to begin. And Marcus Allard was ready to make humanity's debt to the aliens a debt paid in full. As the first wave of alien soldiers descended from the ships, their armored forms like a tide of iron, Marcus's heart pounded with the rhythm of war. There was no turning back now. He had made a promise, and he would see it through, no matter the cost. The fight for humanity had only just begun. The night was still, save for the distant rumble of alien engines and the faint hum of Marcus's boots against the charred ground. His team had taken up position in the shadow of a ruined skyscraper, their eyes fixed on the towering alien stronghold just beyond. The city was eerily silent now, no movement, no voices, only the wind whispering between the wreckage of a world that had once been full of life. Marcus crouched beside Zara, scanning the horizon through a pair of cracked binoculars. The alien ships above flickered like dark stars in the sky. They had to move fast. Every moment spent waiting was one closer to certain death. I've seen these patterns before, Zara muttered, pointing to the layout of the alien defenses projected on a worn tablet. They'll expect us to hit the front gate. It's a trap. Marcus's jaw tightened. Then we don't go through the front gate. The crackling of static broke the silence as Jarek's voice came through the comms. We've got company, he said, his tone grim. A whole damn platoon of them. They're on their way. Of course they are, Marcus muttered. He glanced at Zara, who was already adjusting her gear, her fingers nimble as she prepared for the inevitable fight. What's the plan? He asked, turning to her. Zara's eyes darted over the map. Her mind was a steel trap, calculating angles, distances, and the strength of the alien forces. We need to get to the secondary entrance. It's less guarded, but we'll have to cross the perimeter in the next 5 minutes before their patrols close in. Marcus nodded, giving a quick glance to the team, Yarek, still in the distance, ready to lay down cover fire, Zara, poised like a coiled spring, her tactical mind working overtime, and Rhea, their sniper, hidden in the shadows, keeping an eye on everything from above. Let's move, Marcus commanded. The team sprinted through the shattered streets, their movements swift and synchronized. As they neared the edge of the alien-controlled zone, the air grew thick with tension. The scent of burning metal and alien sulfur stung their nostrils, reminding them of the relentless war they were caught in. Every step felt heavy, as though the ground beneath them was watching. We're almost there, Zara whispered, her voice steady but taut with urgency. A sudden crack of gunfire shattered the quiet, followed by the thudding of alien boots. The first wave of soldiers had appeared. Massive, armored beings with grotesque, insectoid features. They moved with cold precision, their weapons drawn, scanning the ruins for any sign of life. Marcus gritted his teeth. Go, he shouted, the order given just as a volley of fire rained down on them from a nearby rooftop. Zara and the others darted into cover, their weapons roaring as they retaliated. Jarek's voice came through the comms again, this time with an edge of desperation. You're not gonna make it, Marcus. There's too many of them. Marcus exhaled sharply, but his gaze remained unyielding. We don't stop. The team returned fire, their weapons disintegrating the alien soldiers with brutal efficiency. But for every alien that fell, 2 more seemed to take its place, their numbers relentless. The odds were stacked against them, and yet Marcus's determination only grew stronger. They sprinted for the secondary entrance, the sound of alien fire growing louder behind them. Zara fired off a few more shots, covering their retreat as Marcus led the charge. Each footfall was heavy with the knowledge that they were outnumbered, that their lives meant little in the grand scheme of this war. But the fire inside Marcus wouldn't allow him to stop. Not now, not ever. We're there, Zara called out, pointing to a narrow, reinforced door set into the side of a collapsed building. They were almost at the threshold when a roar echoed from the street. A massive alien war beast, its 4 legs like pillars of muscle and bone, came barreling toward them. It was too fast, too powerful. Move, now! Marcus bellowed, shoving Zara toward the door. But before she could make it through, the creature leaped, its jaws snapping just inches from her heels. She spun, firing a shot that pierced the beast's skull, but it was too late. The beast's bulk slammed into her, sending her sprawling across the pavement. "Zara!" Marcus yelled, a primal surge of rage flooding his chest. He lunged forward, but Yarok was quicker. The veteran pulled her to safety, throwing her into the doorframe just as the beast writhed in its death throes. "Go, go, go!" Yarok shouted, and the team rushed through the entrance. Inside, the atmosphere shifted. The smell of alien machinery and metal clung to the walls, and the hum of an energy core vibrated beneath their feet. They were in. But the victory felt hollow. Zara winced as she straightened up, a bloodstain already forming on her side. "Not the best way to make an entrance," she muttered, breathing heavily but still alert. "We're not done yet," Marcus said, eyes scanning the hallway before them. The darkness of the alien stronghold stretched out in front of them, lit only by the faint glow of alien technology. But it didn't matter. This was what they had come for. "Now we take the heart of this place." The enemy had taken everything from them, lives, families, homes, and now, Marcus was going to make them regret it. No more running, no more hiding. The fight was on. As they moved deeper into the heart of the alien stronghold, the tension in the air thickened. But they were more than just survivors now. They were a force to be reckoned with. And the debt that humanity owed was about to be paid in full. The cold, metallic walls of the alien stronghold hummed with an unnatural energy, reverberating in Marcus's chest. He could feel it, every thrum of the alien machinery, like a pulse that kept time with his heart. But it wasn't the sound that weighed on him, it was the silence that followed. They had pushed deep into the complex, moving through dimly lit corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly before them. Each step felt like they were marching toward something inevitable. The air was thick with the stench of alien metal and chemicals, and the constant low hum made it feel as if the entire place was alive. The closer they got to the heart of the facility, the heavier the weight of the task ahead became. "Keep it tight," Marcus murmured, his voice low but firm. His eyes scanned the corridor ahead. Every shadow, every flicker of light, set his nerves on edge. The aliens were known for their intelligence, their adaptability. They would be watching, waiting for any sign of weakness. Zara, still clutching her side where the war beast had struck, moved with quiet precision. She was the most methodical of the group, calculating each movement, each shot. But even her usual composure had slipped. The pain was obvious in the way she winced as she shifted, but she said nothing. There was no time for complaints. "Not now." "You know they'll come for us," Zara said, her voice steady despite the fatigue. "The moment we hit the core, they'll know we're here." Marcus nodded, his eyes narrowing. "I know. We'll hit them hard, fast. No room for mistakes." His gaze swept over the team. Rhea was crouched at the back, her sniper rifle poised, scanning for movement. Yarok was at the front, always the first to engage, always ready to lead the charge. Every one of them had a role to play. But Marcus knew that this mission was different. The stakes weren't just about survival, they were about revenge, about making sure humanity paid the debt owed for the years of destruction, the endless torment the aliens had inflicted. He could feel the weight of that on his shoulders. The loss. The rage. And yet, he had to keep it together. They couldn't afford to lose focus. A sudden burst of static crackled through the comms, cutting through the tension. "Enemy ahead," Jarek's voice came through, clipped and tense. "Big. Big enough to be a problem." Marcus's heart rate spiked. It wasn't the first time they'd encountered resistance, but this was different. He could feel it. "Zara," he said, his voice clipped. "Rhea, get into position." They fanned out, the team moving with fluidity that only years of experience could provide. Zara stayed low, her eyes locked on the glowing screens of her tablet, adjusting their trajectory. Rhea melted into the shadows, blending with the darkness. Marcus's mind worked quickly, planning for every possible outcome. It wasn't long before they encountered their first line of defense. The aliens, sleek and insectoid, emerged from the darkness, their elongated forms shifting like shadows. Their weapons gleamed with an unnatural light, pulsing as they aimed directly at the team. Yarok fired first, a rapid burst that sent the nearest alien stumbling backward. But it didn't take long for them to recover. The aliens moved with eerie precision, adapting quickly to the human tactics. They were learning faster than ever. "They're evolving," Zara said, her voice tight with realization. "Adapting to our tactics." Marcus cursed under his breath. "Then we changed the game." He motioned to Rhea, who adjusted her position and fired a shot that took out one of the alien's limbs, sending it crashing to the floor. Another alien retaliated, its plasma rifle charging with an ominous glow. Marcus dove to the side, his instincts kicking in, narrowly avoiding the blast. Zara reacted instantly, firing back. She didn't wait to see if her shots hit. She was already on the move, sliding behind a pillar of twisted alien metal for cover. Yarok and Marcus exchanged a brief glance, and in that instant, they knew what had to be done. It was all or nothing. Marcus signaled to Zara. "On my count, we go loud." She nodded without hesitation, clutching her weapon like an extension of her own body. 3, 2, 1. They emerged from cover, firing in unison. The alien soldiers scattered, but they were faster than expected. Their reflexes were sharp, their movements deliberate. Each shot was met with a counterattack. Each step closer to the heart of the facility felt more dangerous than the last. But Marcus was determined. He couldn't let the rage blind him, not yet. He had to think. The plan had to work. With a burst of speed, he rushed forward, shoulder-checking an alien out of his path and knocking it to the ground. In a flash, he was at the entrance to the heart of the facility, the core. But before they could breach the final door, a voice echoed through the comms. A cold, mechanical voice, unmistakable. "You think you can defeat us?" the alien voice rasped. "You are nothing. We are the future. You are obsolete." Marcus's grip tightened on his weapon. His heart thundered in his chest, the challenge clear. He had no intention of becoming obsolete, not today, not ever. "We'll see about that," he muttered. With one final push, he threw open the door, and the battle for humanity's future began in earnest. The doors of the alien core slammed open with a hiss, and the team flooded into the room. Marcus was the first to step through, his boots echoing off the smooth, metallic floor. The air inside was thick, charged with energy, an electric hum that seemed to vibrate in his very bones. The walls around him were slick with a strange, organic substance, alien symbols etched into their surface, pulsating faintly as though alive. This was the heart of the beast, the source of its power, and they were finally inside. Zara moved silently beside him, her eyes scanning the massive chamber. It was vast, the ceiling disappearing into shadow, and at its center stood a towering, monolithic structure. A gleaming energy core, this was the heart of the alien empire, its power source, the thing that had fueled their war against humanity for so long. Rhea and Yarok fanned out behind them, weapons raised, eyes darting for any signs of movement. The silence in the room was oppressive, the only sound the faint whirring of the core and the team's breath. "We need to destroy that thing," Marcus said, his voice low but resolute. "Now." Zara nodded, her lips tightening in determination. "We can't just destroy it from here. We'll need to overload the core. I'll need a few minutes to set the charges." "Then we cover you," Yarok said, his voice sharp as he checked his weapon. "No distractions. We don't have much time." Marcus's eyes flicked to the distant perimeter of the chamber. The faint glow of the alien machinery was growing brighter, and he could feel it in his gut, the inevitable approach of the enemy. The aliens had to know by now that they were here. The clock was ticking. "They're coming," Rhea said, her voice coming through the comms with an edge of warning. "A whole battalion's on its way." "Then we make it fast," Marcus ordered, his heart pounding. He turned to Zara. "Get the charges ready. We'll cover you." She didn't need to be told twice. She moved quickly to a set of console panels near the base of the core, her fingers dancing over the interface, pulling up schematics, her focus absolute. She was the team's tech expert, a force of nature with an intellect to match. But even she couldn't work fast enough to beat the clock. The first wave of alien soldiers burst into the chamber, their heavy boots thudding across the floor. Marcus didn't hesitate. He dropped to one knee, aiming his rifle with deadly precision. His first shot took down an alien before it even had time to react. His eyes moved methodically, locking onto the next target. Another shot. Another downed alien. Rhea's sniper rifle rang out from the shadows, her shots cutting through the chaos with ruthless accuracy. Yarrick moved in a blur, his assault rifle sweeping the room, mowing down aliens in a steady line. They were all working in perfect harmony, a dance of destruction, but Marcus knew it wouldn't last. There were too many of them. "They're spreading out," Zara shouted over the comms, her voice tense. "I need more time." Marcus's chest tightened. They couldn't let her down. They couldn't afford to fail now. "Hold the line," he barked, firing another shot at a pair of advancing aliens. The room erupted into chaos. The once calm air was filled with the sounds of battle, the crack of plasma fire, the thud of alien footsteps, the sharp hiss of weapons being discharged. The walls trembled as alien soldiers stormed forward, their grotesque forms flickering in and out of the smoke and shadows. Marcus's mind was working faster than his body, processing every detail, analyzing each movement. But even as they fought back the wave of enemies, something was wrong. A figure emerged from the shadows at the far end of the chamber, tall and imposing, its alien form wrapped in dark armor. It was their leader, the one they'd heard on the comms earlier. The one who had spoken with such cold certainty. The alien commander. "Human," the commander's voice rang out, amplified by some strange device. "You are too late." Marcus's heart skipped. He knew this moment would come. The fight to end all fights. He clenched his fists around his rifle, trying to steady his breath. He couldn't let fear seep in, not now. "You think you can destroy us," the alien commander continued, its voice reverberating off the walls. "We are the future of the galaxy. You are nothing. Your species will be wiped out." "We're not done yet," Marcus growled, his voice low but steady. He tightened his grip on his weapon. "And we're not the ones who'll be wiped out." With a sudden roar, the commander charged, its massive weapon crackling with energy. It was faster than Marcus had anticipated, its alien speed catching him off guard. But he was ready. He fired first, but the alien moved with blinding speed, dodging the shot, and it was on him in an instant. Marcus's training kicked in, his body moving almost without thinking. He ducked under a slash from the commander's blade and countered with a sharp elbow to its side. The impact sent the creature stumbling, but only for a second. The commander was relentless, its strikes coming faster, harder. Behind him, Zara shouted, her voice urgent. "I'm almost there. Just hold on." Marcus gritted his teeth. He couldn't lose. Not now. Not when they were so close. The commander lunged again, its weapon aimed straight at Marcus's chest. In that moment, time seemed to slow. Marcus dove to the side, his fingers brushing against the hilt of his combat knife. He spun, slashing it across the commander's exposed flank. The alien staggered back, its weapon dropping to the floor. For the briefest moment, Marcus saw an opening. He lunged forward, driving his knife deep into the creature's chest. The alien commander let out a final, guttural scream as it crumpled to the floor, lifeless. The chamber fell silent, save for the distant hum of the core. Zara's voice crackled over the comms. "The charges are set. Get out of there. Now." Marcus didn't hesitate. He turned and ran, adrenaline flooding his veins, his heart pounding in his ears. The countdown had begun. And they weren't going to stop until the alien empire was nothing but dust.